Stop what you're doing. Because what just happened in that postgame press conference has the entire women's college basketball world talking. Right after the LSU Tigers women's basketball took down the Tennessee Lady Volunteers, all eyes weren't on the box score, they were on one moment. A hug. A whisper. A split-second exchange between Kim Mulkey and Kim Caldwell that instantly set social media on fire. And when reporters tried to dig into it, Mulkey shut it down. 3 words, that's personal. The room froze. Was it tension? Respect? Something deeper? Why did that question hit a nerve? And what does it reveal about the pressure, the rivalry, and the intensity surrounding LSU and Tennessee right now? We're breaking it all down. But before we dive into every detail of that fiery exchange, every camera angle of the hug, and what it really means moving forward, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe for non-stop women's college basketball coverage, and drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Was the question fair, or did Mulkey have every right to snap back? What do you think was said in that moment? Don't go anywhere, because this story is bigger than a press conference. It's about rivalry, respect, and a coach who refuses to let the media control her narrative. Let's get into it. The handshake line had already come and gone. The cameras were still rolling. The crowd inside the arena was buzzing after another high-profile SEC clash between the LSU Tigers women's basketball and the Tennessee Lady Volunteers. LSU had handled business on the scoreboard, but that wasn't what people were about to talk about. They were talking about a brief exchange. A close-in conversation. A hug that looked longer than usual between Kim Mulkey and Kim Caldwell. And then came the press conference. The kind of press conference that starts off routine, recap the game, praise the players, break down the defensive adjustments, and then suddenly shifts. You can feel it when it happens. The tone changes. The air tightens. Mulkey walked in confident, composed, fresh off a win. She spoke about effort, about execution, about LSU's pace and shot selection. She credited her players. She talked about toughness. She talked about rebounding. Then a reporter asked about that moment with Caldwell. Not about the game. Not about strategy. About what was said between you and Coach Caldwell. Mulkey paused. If you've watched her long enough, you know that pause. It's not hesitation. It's calculation. She looked up. Measured the room. And then she snapped, not wildly, not screaming, but sharply. Directly. That's personal. 3 words. Firm. Final. The reporter tried to clarify, perhaps thinking there was more to unpack. Maybe the interaction meant something bigger. Maybe it was symbolic. Maybe it hinted at tension. Or reconciliation. Or respect. Mulkey didn't budge. You're not going to know what that. Her tone wasn't playful. It wasn't teasing. It was protective. In that moment, she made it clear, not everything on that court belongs to the public. The room shifted. Reporters are trained to push. That's their job. They look for storylines. They look for layers beyond the box score. And in women's college basketball, especially in the SEC, relationships between coaches can carry narrative weight. But Mulkey wasn't giving them anything. She leaned back in her chair. Arms crossed slightly. Expression unwavering. Why are we asking personal questions? It wasn't just a refusal. It was a challenge. The subtext was loud. We just played a game. My team just won. Why are we here? That exchange, brief but intense, immediately lit up social media. Clips spread fast. Headlines formed within minutes. Words like snaps, fires back, claps back began. But the moment wasn't chaos. It was controlled defiance. To understand it, you have to understand Mulkey. She's never been shy. Never been one to smooth things over for comfort. She's built a Hall of Fame career on blunt honesty and fierce loyalty. She protects her players. She protects her program. And apparently, she protects her private conversations. The rivalry between LSU and Tennessee adds fuel to everything. These aren't just random programs crossing paths. These are SEC heavyweights. Programs with history. Programs that expect to win. Caldwell, in her role with Tennessee, is still carving her own path in a conference filled with strong personalities and established legends. Facing Mulkey isn't just about X's and O's. It's about composure under bright lights. After the game, Caldwell was asked about the exchange too. Her response was calm. She can share if she wants. That was it. She wasn't feeding the fire. She wasn't escalating. She wasn't clarifying. Two coaches. Two different tones. Same boundary. The hug itself had sparked speculation because of context. There had been chatter about competitiveness. About intensity. About emotional games between the programs. When cameras catch something unscripted, people assume there's deeper meaning. But maybe it was simply two professionals sharing a human moment. Maybe it was encouragement. Maybe it was empathy. Maybe it was something entirely unrelated to basketball. Mulkey didn't owe an explanation. And she made that clear. There's an interesting dynamic in modern sports media. The game no longer ends at the buzzer. It extends into press conferences, into viral clips, into 10-second social media edits that shape perception faster than full transcripts ever could. A single sharp response becomes snap. A boundary becomes drama. Mulkey knows this. She's been around long enough to know how narratives are built, and she refused to give. What stands out isn't just what she said, it's how she said it. There wasn't anger exploding across the table. There wasn't disrespect toward the reporter. There was firmness. She reminded the room that personal is personal. In a profession where every facial expression is dissected and every handshake analyzed, that's not easy to do. The bigger picture is about control. Coaches often talk about controlling what they can control: effort, preparation, attitude. Mulkey extended that philosophy to the podium. She controlled the story. The win belonged to LSU. The moment with Caldwell belonged to her, not to headline. Inside the locker room, her players likely didn't think twice about it. They were celebrating. Reviewing tape. Laughing about plays. Recovering from a physical SEC battle. Outside, the clip continued to circulate. Commentators debated, was she overreacting? Was the question fair? Was the media simply doing its job? The truth probably lives somewhere in the middle. Reporters seek clarity. Coaches guard privacy. This time, privacy won. And maybe that's what made the moment so compelling. Mulkey's career has been defined by intensity. Championships. Bold fashion choices. Fiery sideline reactions. She doesn't blend into the back. But this wasn't sideline theater. It was something quieter and, in some ways, stronger. A refusal. A reminder that not everything is content. In a sports world that thrives on access, Mulkey briefly shut the door. And sometimes, shutting the door says more than opening it ever could. As the season continues and LSU pushes deeper into SEC play, the focus will return to basketball. Defensive rotations. Offensive efficiency. Depth off the bench. The hug will fade. But the moment will linger as another example of who Mulkey is: unapologetic, direct, fiercely protective of her boundary. And maybe that's the real story. Not what was said between two coaches, but the fact that one of them decided the world didn't need to hear. And just like that, a simple postgame question turned into one of the most talked about moments of the season. Whether you believe Kim Mulkey was protecting her privacy or think the media had every right to ask, one thing is clear: she made her stance crystal clear. In the middle of a heated SEC battle between the LSU Tigers women's basketball and the Tennessee Lady Volunteers, the spotlight shifted from the hardwood to the podium, and Mulkey wasn't backing down. Moments like this are why women's college basketball keeps climbing: passion, intensity, rivalry, and personalities that refuse to be scripted. Now we want to hear from you. Was that question out of line? Was Mulkey justified? Or should coaches expect every moment to be fair game? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get the conversation going. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe for more in-depth coverage, and turn on those notifications so you never miss the next explosive moment from the SEC. This season is only heating up, and if this press conference was any indication, we're just getting started.